Hi everybody, I'm Joey Paul and I'm the author, and today we're going to be talking about managing multiple projects. As you all know, I've been writing 2 books at one time for a number of years now and it works for me. That said, I get asked a lot how I manage doing so and not getting confused or mixed up and all of that. So I thought I would give you my 5 tips on how I manage my workload so that I don't get confused or mixed up or lose my place or any of that. So here we go. Number 1, organisation is key. I've done videos about this in the past, but if you want to keep writing, you need to have a plan. Now, whether that's an outline for each book or whether that's a plan of what you're going to do every day, that really is up to you, and you need to find what works for you. So whether you decide to set up a schedule so that you write different books on different days or in a group of them, I do 2 chapters of one book before I switch to 2 chapters of the other, and then I have a day off. And that works for me, and I found that it has worked for me pretty much from the beginning of when I started writing 2 books at once. Number 2, set aside time to do them one at a time. Same with organisation, you need to know which project you're working on. That means setting up a way to track which one is done when. It also means trying not to work too much on them both in the same time period. Like, I'll do a chapter a day, but rarely will I do a chapter from each project a day. I have done that and I have managed that, but because it's not something I do often, it's easier for me to keep the books separate and easier to work out which days work when. So it's good to keep them separate as possible so that there's less chance of them getting mixed up. Number 3, stick to a schedule. Once you've set up your schedule, you need to, as much as you can, stick to it. Otherwise you're going to end up lost, confused and unable to manage, and that's not a good place to be for anybody. So for me, I use sticky notes, which I've talked about so much in the past. What I do with them and all the rest of it, and I've detailed this in videos in the past, so you can check those ones out on my channel. If day 1 for me is book 1 and day 2 is book 2, you need to make sure that you stick to that. I choose to do 2 chapters before switching because it worked for me to dip enough into the story before having to move out of it. I found that 1 chapter was not enough for me to stay focused on what I was writing, and it also meant that some plot points didn't happen when they were supposed to, which is where an outline comes in handy. If you're somebody that plans a lot, that comes in handy, but for me, because I'm a hybrid, I do better with a minimal plan and mostly pantsing, and I found that doing just 1 chapter at a time just gave me a little bit of a taste, but not enough. On the other side of it, I found that doing 4 chapters at a time put me too deep into the story before I switched, and I found it harder. So 2 seemed to be the sweet spot for me. But you need to find out what works for you, and that may be a chunk of 1 or something completely different, and that's okay. Number 4, manage your workload honestly. Be honest with yourself, if no one else. It's okay if you have an off day, and that means you don't work on either project, but you need to be able to manage your time to the best of your ability. I found a way that works for me. I found a way that allows me to get the most work done in the shortest amount of time, and that works. But you need to experiment with yourself with a few bits and pieces to see what keeps you going, what keeps you motivated, and what keeps you on plan. But you need to be able to manage your time to the best of your ability, and that means leaving time for days off. Everybody needs days off. There are always surprises that might interfere with your workload, and there is no point in setting yourself up to fail. And all that will do is stress you out, and that doesn't help things. But at the same time, if you get to the point where you've started 2 projects or 3 projects, I recommend starting with 2 before you go into multiples. But say you get to that point when you realise, actually, I can't do this. I can't stay focused on 1 book and then move on to the other and still keep everything straight in my head. That's okay. It's okay to say, I can't do this. It's not for everybody. It works for me, and that's great. But if it doesn't work for you, that doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. So it's okay to step back and realise that you can't do it. That's not a failure, that's just learning more about yourself. And number 5, stay focused. A lot of people will ask me why I don't get confused, and the final tip is why, because I stay focused on what I'm doing. I combine all these points and I utilise them to work for me. It's about managing your time, sticking to your schedule, and realising what you can manage. So at this point, I manage by setting aside a day for 1 book and a different day for another, and rarely, so very, very rarely, do I do both books on the same day. It has happened, but I don't set myself that goal because you need to be prepared for it. Having said that, I'm also writing 2 completely different stories. One is a dystopian trilogy, the other is a contemporary paranormal crime. So there's no chance of me getting those mixed up. The characters in one are completely different from the characters of the other. Some other tips I would recommend are don't name your protagonists as two similar things and stuff like that. But basically you have to find what works for you. And if this isn't something that works for you, that's okay. So that's all I have time for today. If you want to get in touch with me, you can just leave me a comment down below or subscribing to my channel. I post new videos on Thursdays. You can also find me on Facebook, on Tumblr, on Goodreads, on Twitter. My books are available on Amazon in ebook and paperback format, and I also have a newsletter. And don't forget to check out Shenanigans 2018 and Bliss 2018, where I will be signing books next year. All the links to which are listed below. Thanks for watching. Bye.